Yo, SBT from the West Australian Region Mahjong Association. Here is my post-game review for Hanchan's 1 and 2 of round 2 for the Australian Region Mahjong League. The season's been pretty disastrous so far. We're at the start of this game, we're currently in 22nd. I believe so. 22nd, no, 23rd of 24 in the pool at 100, minus 150. So the goals are obviously to stem the bleeding and try to grab some points. Our second round opponents rather are Mura, Wildstar, or let me actually check if they've put their name on the league. Yep, Wildstar or Hong Lee, and Tartini or Ewan. Hanchan 1 is one we open up with a nice looking hand, but the big thing that jumps out to me immediately is that there's not actually value in the hand. The way I look at it is that this hand either turns into Richinomi or some sort of Urafree shenanigans, but it's difficult to actually turn this into value. Honitsu's a little bit too far away. Pick up the nice and easy reach. Eventually grabbing 1300 off a mirror. No Ura, unfortunately, but with hands like that, I kind of feel like it's kind of what can you do? There's nothing really to play for unless you want to really tattle around and not do anything. East 2, I don't feel like I made any overly glaring mistakes. I picked up 2 Dora early, so started transitioning towards some kind of Dora 2 hand. I have like 6 blocks here, which is obviously not great. We'd eventually have to cut a block. Maybe cutting like just the pair immediately and holding this 8-pin could have been an idea, but I think that's hindsight picking up the 7-pin later. Even after picking this 7-pin up, you'd have to cut some sort of shape, and I don't think 6, 7, 8 Sunshoku is on the tables rather. So eventually get to Ishan 10 and deal into a surprising Chitoi Nomi. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of what you can do. It's really interesting that this 4-pin came out without the reach here. I think if this reach came out, we probably wouldn't have dealt in immediately. We'd go like Haku first, but we would have dealt in eventually anyway, because this hand's probably too strong to not fight for. It is probably something to note that at this point I made the read that, okay, this is a standard Richi. This individual chose not to Richi, so I had that in the back of my mind immediately. These 2, 1, we pick up a hand, once again, pretty light on value, but I feel like if I didn't take this pawn, we wouldn't have been able to do much. So we take the pawn immediately. An argument can be made to cut the 3-pin and hold up the 8 Sochi. But I wanted to play around potentially drawing another Akadora. But we drew the 2-so and eventually just pick up nice and easy 2k from Hong from across the table. So E3, our dealership, once again running into the issue of some the hand looks pretty light on value immediately. We've got 2 3, 4 Sunshoku chances with Dora being 2-so, so that's great. There's also like 10 Yao Pinfu lines as well, but with our current point situation, we definitely need something big, but you know, you got to play one hand at a time. This West Pawn from Mura came with a slight pause, I believe. So immediately that perked up to me as hey, gotta be careful here. And you see the 8-9 man Hanchan cut as well. So immediately I'm starting to think, okay, what's happening here? And then you see 4-man 7-pin Tadashi. So immediately I'm starting to think, okay, it could be Honitsu, so I need to play a bit carefully. There's a comment to be made about potentially keeping this 8-pin in case we do draw the 7-9 pin, which was probably accurate. Maybe even cutting like 4-pin or cutting down a shape somewhere would have been great, but hindsight's hindsight. Picking up the 3-pin to fill the hanchan is great, but of course we'll have to cut a block. We could go headless and cut like 2-pin with the idea that we could draw Akadora or draw like 6-month or like Tunky shape, but I've got 3-4-5 Sun Shocky on the table with an easy Pinfu line, so I didn't really want to take a headless Ishanten. We see here picking up the Sunzo. I really didn't want to give Sozu to Mura, especially with Tuso being Adora, so have a decision here to cut the 2-pin or 5-man. I cut the 2-pin just so I can hold up the potential of cycling upwards into Sunshoku, and then unfortunately drawing the 6-month for the hanchan there.
Boom.
And then eventually, oh, we skipped it. This 4-man was really interesting. I'd spent a lot of my time thinking about whether or not I actually wanted to chi this. I think it would have been okay chi. I would have cut maybe 5-man or 2-man and waited on 3-6. So it's not great, I feel, because this hand had so much potential. But with this Haku Pon and this Sharpon and this looking like a really obvious Honitsu, I think ending this hand faster rather than later is definitely a line I should have considered in more detail. Eventually I passed thinking that 1-4-man is still pretty strong. 3-6-Tos is pretty difficult to win off of on this board anyway. But you can see that eventually this comes to bite us in the ass, where the South Pond comes out, then this 8-So Pond comes out, then this 1-man Pond comes out, and then we're kind of shitting bricks here with actual Mangan Sumo, which could it have been avoided? I'm unsure, but now we're not happy that we paid in Mangan Oyakaburi. East 4 picked up, you know, kind of awkward shapes in the Mandu here, but filling out one country could have been good. And we picked up this Chunanko. I think this Chunanko eventually led to the downfall of this hand. I think I played this hand very poorly when we got to the mid game, where we eventually picked up this shape here, where I thought, well, what are my lines here? I can cut 6-So 7-man and hold up some kind of Chi-Toy possibility. I can cut 7-pin and just maintain my Sunshoku. I think Sunshoku is definitely a bait here. Finding the 6-man and 5-So specifically and 5-pin specifically is pretty hard, especially with the Chi-Toy Ishanten. Chasing the Chi-Toy line probably would have been stronger. But you can see this 7-pin is cheated immediately, and our Sunshoku chances are basically halved with 2 5-pins revealed. And eventually we make a couple mistakes here and there. This 5-So fill is a nice thing, but this 3-man Pon probably isn't great. If I'm gonna Pon this anyway and not chase the Chi-Toy, I feel as if maybe I could have considered the Chi-Toy line in more detail. And eventually we deal into 2-9. East 4, looking down at my notes once again. I think I accidentally skipped this in my review. East 4-1. Once again, I feel like there wasn't much to play for. We could have pawned this East, but I feel like, you know, 2k this hand maxes out at unless I pair up on Dora. It doesn't feel great, especially, you know, I'd pawned and cut like 1-2-pin and then, you know, go headless for the rest of the hand. It didn't feel nice. Then Reach comes out and we just play on the back foot for a bit. I did consider whether or not I wanted to fight if I happened to draw Tuso. If I did draw Tuso, I think I just slammed this Reach. I'm behind. It's kind of whatever. The 7-1 comes out, so I know immediately that I can fight if I have to. Then the 1-so pickup is really nice in case I get to Hom, but hand ends. Not much you can do. South 1, at this point in the game, I'm starting to think, okay, maybe, just maybe, we need to start making moves. The hand itself isn't great. Chun Pon comes out quickly, and the East, the Haku Pon comes out quickly, and then the 7-1 Pon comes out quickly, and then at this point I'm saying, okay, it's probably over. There's not much I can do here. I could cut Hatsu, it's unlikely to be Daisangen, but then it could be like Shosangen, and there's not really... I didn't really see the point in fighting this, especially being so far away and having to fill this 1-2-3-man Penchan, 1-2-man Penchan, and having to cut maybe Aka 5-man eventually. It just didn't feel like a good hand to fight, so I folded. This reach is really interesting coming from my Kami chart. Immediately I started to pick up on tendencies, and whether or not this comes in handy in the future is up for debate, but you can see that earlier in the game, I think it was, let's see my notes, East 2, they took a, they didn't reach it on 1-pin Shitoitsu with 4-pin cut. So against 4 calls, especially East looking very strong, I'm immediately read this has to be some sort of strong Ichi, and it turns out it was, so it was 1 4-pin, but I'm hoping that I can use this information in the future. It's just like, if they reach it, the hand is probably pretty strong. So I've got that in the back of my mind now. Whether or not it turns out to be useful is up for debate. South 2, we picked up a pretty potentially interesting hand. There's 4, 5, 6 Sun Shoku chances on the table here. There's also just your plain old Richi Pinfu Sun Shoku, Richi Pinfu chances. Picking up this 4-so is interesting for potentially pick up another 5-so for Ipeko, but finding the 9-pin here, I cut the 4-so. Having I wasn't paying attention, quite honestly. 2 9-pins cut, keeping this extra 9-pin just made no sense. I was playing in case it I could find like 6-pin draw and then end up on like a Shampon, but you know, mistakes happen. And then here I get really sad because I see 3 7-1s now, so like holding the 6-1 is eventually going to lead to my downfall. I think I'm not going to be able to use Dora, so I cut it when I could. Here, I cut 5-pin. I thought maybe potentially I can set up like a 8-pin draw into Richi for Suji Trap Ipeko, but I did run this through Naga, and Naga thinks that I should just cut East. Just cut East and hold up as many Ishan 10 tiles as possible. I don't particularly like Naga's line here, just because I feel like the hand ends up in like Richidora 1 in that case, and I feel like I need a little bit more than Richidora 1 in South 2. But with Mura only being 4,800 above me, I guess it's a line I could have taken, but the weight's going to be awful regardless anyway, so I wasn't keen on it. I think there's a potential that it likes 5-pin for drawing the Aka or drawing like 4-pin. But you know, if you draw 6-pin, then you're just going to be 8-pin Kanchan on Nichidora 1. So it didn't... I'm not 100% confident I agree with the line, but what can you do? Definitely this reach comes out, Murasumo's. Not much we really could have avoided there. South 3, I think I had a pretty interesting hand, but it didn't really end up going anywhere. We started picking up a lot of Sozu in the middle of the hand, so we postured towards a Honitsu style hand. This like a 5-so draw was really nice. This is when I decided, okay, we can go towards a Honitsu or a Chitoi line. And then the 8-man draw is nice. Drawing 2-so was at the point where I said, okay, this is either Chitoi or Honitsu. And eventually there were just tons and tons and tons of balls decided, okay, this is probably too slow to be on it, so it has to be cheaper. But then Ewan manages to find a sumo on the super Russian Tunky 7-so. So hand ends my dealership and we go into South 4. Might just take a moment to look at these custom Naga logs I did. I found it really interesting where we were potentially given an opportunity to go towards like a Chinitsu line. So I ran some hands where this is the exact same hand after the 4-man pond, but Ewan cuts the 8-so. Naga doesn't like this 8-so. Pon, I deduced that it's likely because you're Cheat or Ishanten, so holding the Ishanten is probably stronger. This is again the same hand, but with a 2-so cut instead, which is a more difficult tile to fill, I guess, especially with the 7-so Chi also completing the shape. But you know, you can Chi cut 9-man, then Pon cut 9-man again, and then I feel like this line it's interesting, but the Chi's not great still. And then finally, that's the wrong replay. This is... Then I investigated, okay, what if I didn't have Chi Toy Shanten, and then obviously the Chi and the Pon suddenly become a lot stronger. So that's something that I've actually learnt this game, is that multiple times Naga has highly considered Chi Toy, which I thought wasn't great. So I think maybe I need to start reviewing my Chi Toy lines and seeing if there are better lines I could take there. Finally in South... Anyway, moving on, in South 4, we're playing for Mangan Sumo for second, or Mangan direct hit on Toyman for second. So we've got a copy of the Dora, then we picked up another copy of the Dora. So I'm thinking, okay, I guess Tanyao Dora 3 is the only line I have here. Play, and then I get this 6-so Chi for Tenpai. I think this is... You know, you can't not take this. So what can you do? Auto run is turned off. I don't want to take a hand off of Ewan and confirm third place on, or fourth place on an accidental 8-man run, for example. So kind of just have to grit our teeth. And obviously, Kun is given, and considering I'm on the high tail draw anyway, might as well Kun and give myself a chance at what's the word? Rinshan, and we wouldn't have drawn anyway, so nothing gained, nothing lost. Okay, I thought we were about to deal into mirror. South 2, we're in a better situation where any Mangan run is now enough. But this South Pond comes out early, and at this point it's kind of like, well, how do I get value from here? And frankly, I actually didn't see how I could get value from here. During the 3-4 months is really good. I decided, okay, maybe we can play for some random ass Tanyao Pinfu lines. But eventually this hand just leads us down a deep dark hole of sadness and despair, where Hong actually deals in. So we're not last now, but third isn't great in our current situation. Again, we're minus 150, so something needs to happen. Chugging along. No Dora. I think the South was a mistake. Definitely could have cut like 1-man or something and played for like multiple ponds, but what can you do? Drew another Haku, so that was, you know, Mangan possibilities. This reach comes out, and then now it's like, okay, we're in dire straits. Just effective folding. I feel like skipping this 5-man Chi was a mistake. It's difficult to fold against this anyway, and with the chi, I can then cut one pin with this these two pin Tadashis. So I probably should have taken that chi, I feel. And eventually we're kind of, you know, slightly pushing here. There's not really anything else we can do. 7 pins already made it through, so we'll cut it again. We've obviously taken note that Mura's pushing something. And we draw Dora, which, you know, it'll probably pass against this, but it's a hard, you know, it's hard to push Dora into last place, in all last, so just a nice, easy fold. And Mura a Mangan on, sorry, not a Mangan, Tusoi on Tanya Dora 1, so moving into the next hand, South 4-3, we, basically hard stuck third place now. We just need to make sure Toy Men doesn't sumo a Mangan to throw us into last place. Could make an argument for cutting the Hatsu before the 5-so, but you know, you're never going to use the 5-so there anyway, so you might as well cut it. We're now on the really nice 6-9, 3-6-2-5 pin weight. But obviously we don't get there, which is quite sad. You know, how often are you Ishan 10 on like 20 plus tiles, but you don't actually get there. And Ewan Sumo's a Mangan for first place, leaving us at -22, throwing us to around approximately -172. Was there much improvement there? I feel like there was just a lot of micro improvements, but I don't feel like I threw away an opportunity to win the Hanchan, other than that chi in checking my notes. It was in my dealership, so it would have been East 3 or something. But anyway, moving into Hanchan 2, we are definitely scrambling for points at this point. But I also made the decision here that I perceive that Ewan doesn't really take Richis when the hand is weak, and they definitely have a stronger pushing tendency than a lot of other players. I think Hong kind of fell into the same category. It's difficult, obviously, to make that perception from one Hanchan, but I basically decided, you know what, if I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to make it on my own terms and on my own strong hands. I'm not going to push everything too aggressively, and I'm just going to hope someone else makes a mistake before I do. And then we're given this hand where it's kind of yucky. This 5-man draw is really nice to confirm the 6-man. I think maybe cutting the 9 pin was better. You know, Ipeko is probably unlikely, and if you draw the 7 pin, you kind of want to reach it pretty quickly anyways. And we obviously give up the 3-man draw, so we lost that. But with the Richu coming in from Hong, we have to fold. The hand's quite far away, and it's only Richu Dora 1, so might as well give up. There was a consideration, what if I go Chinitsu Honitsu, but against the Richu, again, it's just too slow, too far away. Nice and quick sumo for them. 323 or something like that it was. 713. My dealership, I pick up a very nice Pinfui looking style hand, but you know, with Mura to my right, man, a couple quick calls, I thought, you know, okay, this looks, it could be Tanyawi, so I'll just play as fast as I can here. But then the South Pond comes out, and then I thought, oh no, are we in trouble? The Dora came out, and there was no pawn. So I was thinking, is it really Tanya? Is it really South Dora 3? It could be South Dora 2, and he's on like a ramen way. Then the Richu comes out, and it's just like, okay, well, I'll go 9 pin, 9 pin. And I'll play it from there. And then here it's just like, well, my hand's good, I'm gonna fight anyway, and I can't 1-man and deal into Mura's South Dora 3. Was this avoidable? Probably not. It would have been avoidable for one more turn. You just cut the 9 pin here. you know, 1-man Genbutsu, 6-0, you know, you're gonna shove this Tanyao Pinfu anyway, so, you know, what can you do? But it definitely made it hard to play because, you know, you're South 3, no dealership, East 3, no dealership, and you're already in shit creek, especially with this 6-pin pawn. My 4-5-6 Sunshocker is now looking horrifically weak. And we get to this eventual Ishan 10 shape where we're facing down 4 different coals with 10 pies, so, you know, last place, what can you do? But this deals in immediately. And, you know, it was at this moment that I made a note to myself that, okay, my Kamicha doesn't respect Honitsu. So I'm going to play around that just in case I ever need it. Ace 4, we pick up 3 Dora in the opening hand, so I looked at it and thought, okay, I have to win this hand somehow. Keeping this Haku over the Etso was whatever pawn, and then cutting the 2-pin was a mistake. I should have cut 1 pin first and held up the 2-pin in case I draw another 2-pin. I can go, you know, pon. And we are punished here drawing another 2-pin, but what can you do? South deals into Ewan's Chantanomi, and it's, again, at this moment, I made a note, it's just like, okay, they don't reach, like, Tunky hands, especially, even if they're strong. So, I tried to, you know, just keep that in the back of my mind. It's just like, if I ever need to fight, I can fight. And then, you know, South 1, I've got a dud of a hand, can't really do anything, so I have to fold again. You know, it's kind of, what can you do? South 2, it is now, we're up shit creek. We're in last place, 2,500 behind third, 1,800 behind second, 20k behind first place. It's like something needs to happen here, and we picked up not a dud, but again, very value light, and, you know, the Haku Pon comes out immediately, and we're just thinking, man, this game sucks. I considered keeping this 4-so for Ipeko, and then I pick up the 5-so, so, okay, Ipeko's now on the line. I wonder if I could have cut maybe, like, 6-pin, holding up Chi-Toy chances, but I feel like making this hand into Chi-Toy is a mistake. I cut the pay here in case I drew like an 8-man, and then I realized 8-man doesn't do anything here. Then I paired up the 7-man, so I was like, okay, let's just get rid of this. And then, you know, at this point, I'm just thinking, man, this hand sucks. I can't do anything. And then the Ron comes out, and it's just like, ah! Do I think I could have played this hand better? I don't think there was much better to play, is the issue. And it's disappointing because that was my dealership, that was my chance to get back in the game. And if we take this last place, we're like minus 220. If we take this third place, we're minus 190. And it's demoralizing. But we still have another 2 hands to play, so you kind of had to play, you know, make sure that, you know, you keep a good mental and you play on. This 8-man comes out, and I'm thinking, man, this pawn is ass. Like, I do not want to take this pawn. But their hand feels exceptionally weak. 6-9, I could just draw like a 6-9 man myself, but I want the 6-man draw for the other shape, and I'm unlikely to get this 8-man pawn again if I don't take it now. I think on a table with exclusively very high, strong players, this 8-man pawn is very weak. But I've made a note earlier that Ewan, or my Kamicha, does not respect Honitsus. So I decide to pawn, and I am playing for Chinitsu Honitsu. So that's what I do. I skip this pawn, obviously. And then the first 6-man comes, so instantly cheat. Second West comes out, so now it's like, okay, now I'm panicking. 2-man comes out, so I chi. And then I thought initially at this 6-month chi, I'm probably not going to take 2-month chi because I'm not even Tenpai. I'm very likely going to deal into something here, but I felt pretty desperate. And I picked up this Haku.
Kang.
And this Kang came out. And then I'm shitting bricks. And then this Haku came out. And I'm thinking, was this play any good? And I think it basically revolves back to the point where I did make the read that the player to my left doesn't respect Honitsu plays. But then if you look at their hand, they had a strong hand anyway. Like, you're looking at Toy Toy, maybe Sananko Hatsu. So it makes me afraid in a way where, am I just saying that this play was good because I've made the read and that's hindsight bias? Or was it actually good to pawn knowing that I'd get all the Manzu I want from this player? Anyway, moving on. Where Aimangan Sumo away from second place, Hanuman Sumo away from third place. And the Richu comes out. And then at this point, I'm like, oh man, game's over. This one so is interesting in the sense where it actually potentially allows me to fight. Running this through Naga, it wants me to cut the 5-pin here immediately. I think the idea is we could deal into Hanuman, even Baiman, and not fall to last place. So you might as well fight. But I didn't see that line. I just cut 9-pin. And 9-pin again. And 9-pin again. And then eventually I get to a hand where it's just like, hey, wait, if we draw a 6-9, so we have a very strong hand to fight on. And then we get to here, where I spent 25 seconds, so the entire hand just to cut the 7-man. When 2-man, 8-man, and Paso 5-man is a pretty safe tile, but I cut this Musuji 7-man into 147 Pinfu. Oh, sorry, 147. And then it was at this point where I realized I was talking so much shit this year. You know, I want to hit 7 done. I want to re-qualify for WRC. I want to grow Australia as a community. But I'm playing like this. And it's not necessarily that, you know, I can blame the entirety of the game on being unlucky, because there were bits and pieces where I got unlucky and my opponents got luckier than me. But I don't necessarily think that matters if I'm playing like this. So there's a lot to work on. We move into Hanchan 3 of round 2 at minus 190. There's a lot of work to be done. I'm now 6 Hanchan of 24. I can basically no longer take another 4th place if I want to make top 6. Frankly, I'm distraught. I should be playing better than this. And there's not really any excuse for my poor play, I feel. Yeah. So goals moving into the next Hanchan and the next round especially is to play for first. But it's hard because I can't just throw away points willy-nilly. But I'm also in the position where I can no longer let opportunities fall away from my palm. So yeah. I don't know if this is going to be like a weekly thing where or a fortnightly thing where I review my games, but I thought I'd just talk into the void while after having reviewed my games just to wind down. I have WRC League in just under an hour. So I might do the same reviews for WRC League, but there's a lot more games in there. So I'll see you around.